Welcome back to the English broadcast of the LPL. We're coming in for our third and final game between Vici and their opponent, Suning Gaming. And many people, honestly, probably would have tuned out after that second game and were like, alright, it's done. You know, Suning Gaming, they're going to take it. They were winning up until a 30-minute mark. And then it all fell apart as Vici managed to turn it around, take us to the third game. And honestly, it seems like if you push Suning Gaming past the 30 minutes of the game where they're comfortable, you win.
Yeah, and I will say a lot of this may be the drafting changes, or the meta changes, I should say, for everyone playing League of Legends right now. Vici look more comfortable post 30 minutes. Suning Gaming look a little bit less comfortable, especially with execution in these team fights. Vici did outscale, though, and Suning gave them too many opportunities to continue to scale up and hit that late game. And again, coming into this third game, if you take the first two into account, Vici should continue to try and get the Vladimir Yasuo, continue to try and scale up, and just out-team fight your opponents, because even without a team fighting comp, they're going to do incredibly well. Whereas on the side of Suning Gaming, up the tempo, but not just up the tempo, Hacker's doing well. Hacker's doing perfectly fine. Hacker and Shell as a duo are doing well. I think you just have to involve Fen that little bit more. Get the whole map moving, and actually threaten to dive the places that Vici even assume you're diving. Like, you can make those plays. You can be aggressive and pull an EDG.
And the funny thing is, I think in the first game, actually Vici put Fen in the playbook for Suning. Because Swift ran at him in the mid lane and gave him a kill over to the enemy mid lane and forced a play, meaning that he was already set up to succeed in these following fights. In the second game, that didn't really happen. He considered it. He sat behind that mid lane tower and it's like, okay, not again. I'm not gonna do it this time.
The difference with Swift was that he went bottom lane in the second game. You know, found some successful ganks off over there, started to snowball himself. And the big thing with Nocturne, I'm surprised that we saw it the second game consecutively here from Swift, but that level 6, you need to get the ganks off, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you actually manage to get a successful gank off and snowball, then you're uncontrollably strong. You're one-hitting carries. But if it doesn't work, the other team gets a lead, then it's just desperate stations. And from Vici in that first game, they went desperation, they dove, they made mistakes. They got kills when they dove, but they were stuck between two towers, no idea what they were doing. The second game was a lot more clean.
And in the third game, I want to see Vici recognize that top lane's probably going to be dove by Suning Gaming in the first, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to happen. They're going to push in. They're going to do something to you. So Swift, I want to see you up in the top side of the map trying to defend your top laner. And to be fair, he was working on that in the second game, but in the third game, you know it's going to happen. Be prepared for it.
And speaking towards top lane, I'm actually very happy, I would say, with the performance of Xiaoel thus far. He has played a tank. He looked very good on the tank. He was the indomitable force of Suning Gaming in game number 2. He can play the bruises. They're getting banned away from him. And this is now starting to become one of those players that is a very big deal. He's the player that you have to ban champions away from. He's the player that can play most styles and most roles and still be successful with. And he's proven already that he can be a player that if you give him the resources, he can carry the game. It's the rest of that map that we have to start to look towards. Because frankly, you're right. Audi should just be sacrificing top lane or committing to the split push. I would like to still see champions such as the Fiora in that top lane, but he needs to team fight, it seems, Audi. He needs to actually be a part of these teams, and he looked very good on Ornn. I would love to see him pick that one up.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, watching Xiaoel play actually gives me flashbacks. Do you know which player? Kabe. And the reason I say that, you know, I was watching Kabe recently, and because he's back in the LDL, moving out of the LPL, and it's still very, very similar. You know, Kabe, a player who almost always goes back onto those tanks, but will start winning lanes as tanks. You're like, why is this even happening?
Kabe,
you just take a look at the Rammer squad right here.
Kabe is Maokai, for those that don't know. He's the living embodiment of Maokai. He doesn't actually look like a tree, I shouldn't say that. He's not the physical embodiment of Maokai, but it's all he plays.
Yeah, for certain. But more often than not, he'll just win lane against all odds. And that's what we're seeing out of Xiaoel. You know, yes, he's given some resources, but he's often creating resources on his own in these matchups. So props to Xiaoel. He's been doing very well. I think more and more he's starting to become the face of that team. As we see the ejection of Knight, and we're seeing Fen in the mid lane, his most consistent member on the squad.
And he's been playing for a little while now. You know, he's had some time to actually get comfortable with the team, be more consistent with the team. He's got some big carry performances, but oftentimes he was getting caught. This time around, just solid, just good. And that's where you look towards his opponent in Audi, who has incredible moments. He's had some very big plays, some very big team fights, especially in his first set against BLG when he was playing that Ornn. But ultimately, it hasn't been all that great all the time. You've seen a lot of the times when Vici lose, he's the one that's 0-3 in a competition with Caveman to die the most in a single game. having a very bad time. And you can see a lot of the differences here in terms of context. If I was sitting gaming, kill Audi 6 times and you win. That's what it feels like watching these teams play.
Then again, I would also say that it could just be a Suning thing, where it's just like kill the top lane, whoever you are, over and over and over again, and that's our way into the game. I do agree with you though. I think that Aldi is more of a spiker. He's, shall we say, the icon of top laners, where you have some pop-off performances. You see the big Darius cleanups and team fights, or you just don't really see anything.
I like the term spiker though, as someone that has played volleyball before.
Oh yeah,
it's the
big
person
playmaker.
Yeah, he was a playmaker, and it's either going to work or it's not going to work. Everyone else sets you up. Your job is to hit it down towards the ground really bloody hard, not find a human. Find the ground.
I learned all of my volleyball knowledge from anime.
Did you really?
I did.
Oh, no.
That's what happens when you watch sports anime, folks. Anyone who has will understand what I'm saying. You're just like, I don't care about sports, and by the end of Season 1, you're just like, I absolutely understand how that spike is meant to position and how the team's meant to set up for him.
I know the one you're talking about. Never watched it.
It's 100% worth the watch.
It's the one that has the word Boku in it.
That's the one. Wait.
Is it?
No, that's something very different, Rusty. Let's not talk about that. Basketball. Anyway, let's get into Game 3 between Vici Gaming and Suning Gaming. Actually going to be swapping up sides here. Vici have chosen blue side in this one, and will be getting their first pick. Their grubby little mitts on potentially a strong opening pick, strong opening champion for themselves, as Lucian and Lulu will be the banouts for themselves, and Suning Gaming will take away Nocturne and Zoe.
It's the one that has Hero in it?
No.
Damn, I tried. I give up. I don't watch it. Anyway.
That's a superhero anime. Anyway, Vici will be banning away the Talia. No more jungle Talia for you, Hacker. And Suning Gaming looking towards their final ban, and it will be Camille, of course. I was getting a little bit scared for a second. Camille might not be in the ban list, but it will be the final one.
And it was curious to even see Talia in the first place, to be honest. The first game that we saw of this set was the first Talia that we have seen of the LPL, and it won very comprehensively, and we all know why it's only ever been banned. Very difficult champion to deal with, especially if it gets ahead, so smart bans here from Vici. And we have seen a side swap as well, Vici being on the blue side, so they won't get the Yasuo Vladimir rotations. They won't even get the Nocturne because it's been banned from them, but they will choose one of the two between Yasuo and Vladimir, and I would love to see Suning pick up the other.
There's the Vladimir, and back over to Suning. Here's a face that we haven't seen in a little bit, is the old Graves, and he's definitely up there with the top junglers right now, including Xinjiao. And there we go. First pick for Suning will be Graves. Yeah,
Graves. Ornn is the other one that we're seeing a lot of. He's the only one that isn't banned here that is at above an 80% presence rate. So would not be surprised to see it once again banned or taken away. And I think this actually is a nice takeaway from the side of Vici. He's got the Alistar. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go towards the Alistar for their support of their own. But you get rid of what he was good on. And then you can pick yourself a strong bottom lane. Even the Xayah available. If you want to go conventional, you don't need to, however, because you have a Graves.
You do. I'm also wondering what Aldi is going to do with his pick right here, whether they lock it in right now or they choose what to do, because Ornn is still a factor, right? And I feel like if you give Suning the opportunity to pick it up in the next rotation, there's a good chance it will come through for Xiao Ao.
How much do you want to bet this is a Yasuo, and then suddenly we're set up. Carries everywhere.
Ooh, but Alistar's there as well. Yeah, okay. No, I saw it though. I saw it.
And it shouldn't be a Yasuo, don't get me wrong, but there's a chance that they were just going to lock that one in and get their support banned away from them.
I mean, FireRain's played it 2 games in a row right here. Suning Gaming will lock themselves in a Swain, which has typically found himself banned out on the second phase of bans in this series. So it's actually fun to see it come through once again. And we'll see if that goes actually towards the mid, the bot, or top lane. Or jungle, who even knows anymore, Rusty?
Speaking of flex picks, Swain has been locked in. Now, moving into the second ban phase, it's very hard to ban specific things away. For Suning Gaming, the one role they know is definite is that they've locked in Graves and they can get rid of strong junglers. So I like this with the Xin Zhao. Nocturne already gone, Camille already gone as well. So another jungle ban would be very easy to do. But with the support there, with the Vladimir presumably going towards the bottom lane, Aurelia mid lane, you could also perhaps start to look towards the top laner, as they do get priority with the red side here. Last pick for themselves as a counter.
Yeah, no more Xin, no more Jax. Suning, what do they not want to play against? Also Nocturne off the board, so we're going to have to see something new from Swift. And where does Swift usually default to? Well, you guessed it right, Nidalee. So Swift is really going to have to pull something out of the bag right here that is different for himself. And Vici get their hands at their final ban as well. What do they not want to play against?
I really love that ban, actually, of the Nidalee. Big fan of that. Something that can keep up in terms of tempo with the Graves, can skirmish with the Graves, doesn't always win it, but maintains pace, and that's the most important thing here. Is unsurprisingly, of course, the Ornn removed from Suning Gaming. Mundo now still a possibility. Darius has been the counter to Mundo in terms of lanes at the moment. Showell is a bruiser player.
But this is a blind Darius for the most part.
Yeah.
And that's less typical. Darius has definitely found himself in metas, well, first off, because he was broken in the Juggernaut patch, but the second time we've really seen him as a counter to melee tanks, mostly, or into very weak bruisers in the laning phase. So the fact that you would lock it in as a blind pick is ballsy, to say the least, from Shoutout.
Frankly, I just think Darius is too strong at the moment. Not like overpowered strong, but in terms of priority in lane, if you're coming in 4th pick, there's no real threats of a Jax going up against you, right? The Ornn's already been taken away by Vici, and you know that Audi's going to play it. Why not get rid of it? My only concern with it is that ultimately you could be picking it for the AD role, perhaps to have a bruiser down there to beat the Vladimir, so it's a nice flex still in and of itself. We saw FLICKR play a lane swap with it, but he was in the AD position.
And that was a Stunner lock-in as well for the jungle, as well as an Aatrox for Aldi, you'd have to assume. And that's a Singe. Okay, give me a second. What have we got? So, Singed in the top lane. Darius
should be... Actually, what are the matchups? Aurelia is the mid laner, so Darius would be pretty good into Aurelia.
Makes sense.
Swain's pretty good into Vladimir, actually. They scale the exact same amount with levels, so level 7 and 9, they'll be huge. Level 6 also with the ultimates. I like that. They could actually put the Darius bottom lane and try and win at level 1 if they want it. Like, you know, level 1 and 2.
There's still time. They've got 9 seconds, Rusty.
But we've seen SKT just swap players completely as well. What's to stop Fen from going bottom lane?
Oh man, I love this meta. The fact that we've actually locked in all of the picks, and we still don't know where they're going.
Yeah, it's a place. It's certainly an experience.
Is that a happy place, Rusty?
I can only sympathize with coaches, we'll put it that way. Not knowing where everything goes until the last second always leaves things very awkward for yourself. And you're in that 60-second countdown timer where you've got your runes left to do and everything's locked in. You wait till 30 seconds so that the flex swaps have been actually moved around to their resting places. And you like spam through all your masteries and runes as soon as you possibly can to get them done. Even players at the moment rushing through things.
Okay,
let's
go under the assumption that everything is going to stick where it is. I do like the matchups though, and I actually love the fact that Darius was moved towards the mid lane right here into Aurelia. Something that Aurelia really suffers against is A, tanks that have a bit of damage, and B, strong bruisers in lane. They just straight up shut down Aurelia. There's nothing she can do. That's the reason why she was moved away from top lane into the mid lane, because she actually thrives against most mages. It's why back in the day you actually seeing more Vladimir and Ryze matchups, because she can actually win them at level 1, and also not.
And I keep bringing FLICKR into this, and there's a reason why. It's because I've watched his stream almost religiously in the preseason to see what he was playing. Aurelia was a big problem. Everyone acknowledged that Aurelia was a big problem, so he started playing Fiora into it. He started playing Singed into it in the mid lane as well, and was 2-0 into that specific matchup. Darius is another example of it, because what he was playing was bruisers, things that can control the lane and can stop the Aurelia from going off. And Aurelia's biggest strength is mobility. Well, Darius just stands and delivers.
He definitely does, as we get to take a look at whatever that is. And we're about to hear from the Rammer squad. Thank you, and we're on to the ref for our third and final game in this matchup, Vici and Suning. And let's actually take a look at where everything's going. It seems like for now, with faces being shown, we are going to just have Fen in the mid lane. No crazy swap-ups.
No, nothing too crazy to be seen. Of course, it is actually going to be the phase rush Ghost Darius. When you're not playing top lane and there's no need to teleport,
oh man,
you can absolutely cheese people. And I like this.
I love this.
Yeah,
and we also spoke about it in the last game.
Well, it's a thing Darius does in solo queue, so now your solo queue Darius are leaking over here, which is tragic, but at the same time, very strong, very powerful, very hard to deal with as an Aurelia. A lot of the times, so I'm a Yasuo player, right? When you're playing Yasuo, you use minions to go in, and you always save a minion to get out alive. Aurelia now has to do the same thing with the utmost caution. Because if she draws minion aggro, or Darius draws minion aggro, the positions of them change, and suddenly everything goes to hell. Are you flashing?
I mean, he's going to have to consider it with Fire Rain coming in from the mid lane. And no, Fury's just going to walk it off. He's okay.
Yeah, Fury is able to back himself up decently well, but the smite was used by Swift. So in terms of jungle tempo, it's not a bad thing or an end result by any means. It's a good thing for Suning Gaming. For Hacker specifically.
It was bot lane pressure traded for jungle tempo.
Yeah.
So, you know, Hacker's going to be happy with that one. And in fact, he's actually going for the aggressive path right into the enemy jungle right now.
The assumption will be, of course, that Swift does the same thing. He's looking towards the Scuttle Crab, can go towards the enemy blue buff. You'd expect him to go there and ward it, see it's clear, and then do it himself. But it'll be a reactionary measure to whatever Hacker chooses to do. Fen actually preventing it.
Yeah, this is actually really bad for Fire Rain and Swift because that's a 1v2 they just straight up lose. There is no winning against the Darius level 2 at this point.
The only way you would do it is by hitting the stun on the Skarner and then dashing inside the circle of the Q, right? So they're not going to find it either way. Fen just plays defense with his basketballer skin on. He's able to stop them from getting towards the blue buff. For quite some time, you can see Swift now doing circles, doesn't feel safe. Darius also has the push in mid lane, so he's not safe. Swift just loses jungle. For free.
It's not great, honestly. Skarner's going to go towards the top side of the jungle and realize that pretty much everything is going to be taken away from him apart from his Merc Wolves.
And that's the thing, like, when you look at the drafts as a 5v5 right now, Singed has push. Singed doesn't necessarily control the lane, but the minions are gone, and Aatrox is left under the turret dealing with that. When you look towards mid lane, Darius is pushing, and so is the bottom lane. So Hacker could go anywhere he wants on Summoner's Rift, even if he doesn't get these jungle camps. He still has control and can look towards the next one, try again, and then they just keep tabs on where Swift is at every moment.
Yeah, really, really awkward stuff. And also really, really good stuff out there from Fire Rain. However, he's just been pulled in. Here comes Hacker as well, and the Q is already being used, end of line, and into the Flawless Duet. Well played by Fire Rain, but now he's low HP onto the tower.
Yeah, low chance of actually getting the kill again. It's a Ghost, not an Ignite from Fen, so low chance, but he's stuck. He can't do anything. Now Darius and Graves come bottom lane. Look at bottom, not having a very good time. The threat of a dive is now potentially there. Always a risk that they're going to have to deal with. They could force a teleport out of Fire Rain even, just threatening the dive. It's another Summoner Spell win.
Yeah, we've got to see what actually transpires right here because Caveman is about to see Hacker, hello. But it should just be giving a bit more pressure for that bottom lane Suning to continue pushing this one in. And as you mentioned, it's already a good matchup for Swain in the 1-on-1. I can't really speak to the 2v2 necessarily, but I'd assume it would be similar.
Yeah, definitely the case. Of course, at level 6, things change. Swift gets the ultimate available and can lock people in place for the damage dealers of Vici. Very easy to get a stun off then as Fire Rain resets, etc. in the 2v2s. For Audi, on the top side, it's not interactive, so there is no such thing as a 2v2. It's catch the Singed. You can't really do that until you're level 6 as well as the Skarner. So it's all about exploiting the early strength that Suning Gaming have as a composition and naturally as a team.
Also, for the first time in this series, top lane isn't constantly being pushed in if your name's Audi. He's actually doing the pushing in the top lane because this is a Singed matchup. So he's actually not doing too badly for himself, giving him a bit of confidence. In the mid lane, I've actually seen Fire Rain being playing this matchup very well. In fact, this should typically just be a hands-down one matchup for Darius, but Fen has been playing too liberally with his Apprehend, giving openings for Fire Rain to go in. Bot lane, that's going to be so much damage. Here comes the Ignite as well. Fury chasing him down, thinking about flashing in there. And actually will just be Caveman burning his Summoner.
Strong control of the 2v2 still remains for Suning Gaming. They're able to persist down here, continue to be super aggressive, even forcing the recalls out with match timing. He just gets blocked by a turret. I actually think that he just... No, never mind. Thought he ignited to perhaps stop a recall, but it was used just before. Silly me.
Yeah, it was just in the trade.
Had one of those moments.
But hey, I would have done it. Ability to try and get that one down. Shout out walking behind the tower. A little bit scary. I mean, this was... I mean, shout out if he wants to proxy the wave. This is the only time he could have done it. If Audi hit level 6 and had Massacre, he was dead. Just straight up right there as he was walking past the tower. So it's important for him to do so. How's it going,
I mean, it doesn't really matter. He was standing on a spire that was already his. So
yep.
Skarner goes over and just reclaims it either way. Showell's still good to go. It doesn't matter how much damage you do once the ultimate's there. You can see he regenerated pretty much to full, even without those honey fruit. And he left on the ground. He's good to go. Top lane pushing, bottom lane pushing, mid lane still has control. It's just bouncing back, and it's a 10 CS difference. Ultimately, Pulse, nothing's changed in the past couple of minutes, except that Graves is getting further and further ahead.
But that is the key difference from games 1 and 2. Nothing has changed. Usually by now, 6-7 minutes into the game, Suning would have made a play, maybe top lane would have been dove, you know, there would have been at least a few kills on the board, which would have put Suning Gaming ahead. The fact that they're being cautious, I would almost say plays to their detriment once again coming into Game 3, because even though they were playing aggressively in Games 1 and 2, we saw what happens when they start to lose tempo. When they forcibly say, we're not going to go for this, we're not going to fight, Vici just outscale and they win the game.
Yeah, perhaps. I totally get that standpoint as well. It's a very risky thing you would imagine for Suning Gaming to be doing, just knowing full well that Vici have been out team fighting them as you hit late game. But at the same time, it's still a lead for Hacker, though it hasn't resulted in tower takes or kills or anything by any stretch. It's still a lead for him. It's going to be experience lead. It's going to result in an item lead, and he has a Graves this time around. So he can legitimately carry for the team with those incremental leads as bottom lane dive.
Yeah, I mean, a lot is going on right now, but Caveman doesn't have the ultimate. Flash away from Yoon, and that's going to be the kill right there over to Hacker. Collateral damage will claim that one. Here comes Fire Rain into the fray. Going to get that stun down onto Fury, but there are way too many combatants for him to want to go in.
They force the teleport out of Fire Rain, which hurts them a lot for any further plays if Suning start to make those. Very good movements, actually, from Suning Gaming with the dive. Fen in particular, being able to walk down there, use the Ghost to disengage after. Clean stuff. That's that first move, and the small incremental leads have added up.
And here it is. Shout Out gets a taste of his own medicine. The dives that happened in games 1 and 2. This time,
oh no, Swift's dead.
Will actually have a turnaround. Oh my god, I can't believe Shout Out in the 1 versus 2 finds a kill. And Aldi was close as well. He's going to chase him down. He's got the Insanity Potion running. He's going to jump away, but here's a slowdown still from that Mega Adhesive. Shout Out. I appreciate that.
Cop that one, Shao Out. The 1v2 gives them the thumbs up after getting the kills. It's very close from Swift, but they don't find what they're after. That's the risk when you dive as Singe. He's so tanky, so fast, and heals so much health when he presses that ultimate. You cannot lock him down. Double Dark Seals, of course, amplifying the healing.
Yep.
That, you hate to see it. It hurts. It really hurts.
I mean, almost certainly we're going to see a replay of that, and I want to see exactly what went wrong, because it should have been a clean dive. Swift used his ultimate, Aldi had his passive.
Yeah, so it just wasn't enough damage early. Swift, I believe, at the end still has the E to hit the follow-up stun, but then misses it. So it travels so slowly, again, you're not going to find yourself with that kill. 2 flashes exchanged. The kill wasn't there. I think looking back at it, Swift could have actually started the dive with his E. Slowed them down, hit the stun, followed up with the knock-up, and then ulted. They just didn't layer their crowd control well enough. Joel gives them a thumbs up.
Yeah, unfortunate. It's very interesting how this early advantage has been picked up by Suning. The fact that they were usually the aggressors in the early game. This time they did the direct opposite, but by a result of doing so, have managed to get the lead. And are currently 2-0. They have an Ocean Dragon for themselves. They have the gold advantage. And once again are winning the early game.
I mean, when you look towards the last games and how it has been influenced in the third, Suning Gaming have removed any aspect of chaos. They've tried to only keep calm and make basic good plays. Except for Yoon, who just wants to get headbutted again. Yep. Caveman cannot find the pulverize button. It's missing. Either way, back to the point. I'm very easily distracted. Hacker has just played it slow and far more methodically. Oh no, actually, he is in trouble this time.
Yeah, here's round 2, but Insanity Potion's already used, doesn't have the flash, and he is away from his tower. That is how it's meant to go. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the same happening to Fire Rain. Pops the ultimate, Vanguard's Edge is good. Gets the slow down and the stun down onto Fen. Not going to be enough damage. If he got those Qs off, that may have been a multiple kills.
That's the Ninja Tabi from Fen coming up clutch. Just enough armor that he'll survive through all of that trade. And then once again, Swift is going to be here to answer, but he'll be second. However, he made the play first on the opposite side of the map. So they are still giving an eye in for Vici Gaming to make those plays. It's always a dangerous thing. However, they're still snowballing quite far ahead.
Yeah, necessary play coming out there from Suning as in the bottom lane, Fury is chasing down Snow. Hits the Hemo play to try and dissuade the Swain, the Angry Birdman, who is actually going to start floating away.
Pretty comprehensively lost that trade there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
The turret?
I think there was probably a call coming out from Yoon saying, I'm coming down, let's go for it.
There was a couple of calls coming out of Swain as well when he pressed his ult.
Yeah, very true.
You can have that one for free.
And Snow's going to be fine with that one. Let's take a look at that mid lane dive once again, though. Yeah, flash into Apprehend.
There's a layering of crowd control that's just unmissable, really, once the first Apprehend connects. And you can see the attempt from Fire Rain, knowing full well that he's dead.
Yep.
He tries to find a trade, but in a 1v3, it's so hard to do.
Absolutely is. And here is round 3. Let's fight. Knockup comes in, but here's Hacker this time around, and launching the Aatrox. We put down into his passive.
Will he run or will he go in?
Will he go or
Can't
will he
do
stay?
anything.
The eternal question. Yeah, neither. He's just going to straight up die. Here comes Fen into the top side, though. Once
the ghost is on.
Around this Scorpion. Apprehend comes through, and Shout gets him with the flip as well. The best he can hope for is a kill right here. He drags, actually, his aggressor into the tower for him and gives him an escape route, so that's nice. And here comes Fire Rain off to the side, looking for this finish off. The Floor's Duet misses. Doesn't wait on that one, and now he's
in
under
trouble.
attack. Yeah, this is definitely some struggle streak for the Aurelia. Vanguard's Edge chases down onto Shout. Ow! Last launch attack, not enough damage. He gets away with it. The Beekeeper is safe.
Very close to getting a trade. Just stops his recall. Is going to go back again. Unfortunately for the Aurelia, unfortunately for Fire Rain, the first stun missed, and then he just didn't have it available for the follow-up on the rest of that fight. In the end, he goes down, and now more fighting. Why not?
Yep, Aldi's going to chase this one down as the Never Move will keep him in place for a second. The rest of the team is here, though, so Fury's okay, but indeed we have swapped up the lanes now, and Hacker will be on to the Herald. So we've had a lot of action over the last 2 or 3 minutes or so right here, but that has resulted in 6 kills to 1 to Suning, Gaming a 3,000 gold advantage, and now the Herald as well. So Suning really starting to pick up the pace.
Much closer to that Game 1 style from Suning Gaming here. Snowballing just that bit faster than Vici could ever scale into and look towards team fights. And we spoke about this after that second game, after the loss that Suning Gaming suffered. We said what needs to change, and ultimately, the first conclusion that we had was Fen needs to get more involved. What's the one thing that they've changed going between games is that Fen's been everywhere. Doesn't even need the teleport. He's been a part of the dives. He's gone bottom lane, had some focus and some pressure. And it's that extra bit that helps Hacker, you know, with team play get over the line. You know they're going to Showell. You know they're going to focus him down as best they can. Well, now 3 people come up to assist.
I mean, honestly, it feels like Fen living by my own mantra, which is when in doubt, cheese. And I just feel like the Darius pick is just really, really strong as a pick. Also, phase rush and the old double summoners for mobility, just a good thing.
Sorry, you just lost me at when in doubt. You must doubt everything in your life.
I mean, I do, but then I cheese it, right? So it works out for me. And clearly it's working out for Fen. 2-0 and 2, moving towards his Black Cleaver. And Suning Gaming all over the top side of this map. Top tower has also fallen down. And I believe all of that gold just went over the Swain as well.
Oh. I just watched him take that Spire 6
Twice.
times over.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's going to use the Rift Herald towards mid lane, you would expect. All the outer turrets. Bottom lane could actually be used, but you want to break mid, then release the Fen towards bottom lane, release that Darius to go down there. And the question is, does he actually even need to use the Herald for this turret to be taken if they just choose to group up as 5? But first things first, Fire Drake.
Oh yeah, I think the answer is a resounding no. As we just get to watch an Aurelia CS, always a satisfying thing. And indeed, Fire Drake is going to be on the menu.
I mean, frankly, a Herald could have been spawned there. It guarantees a free Fire Drake, but it seems they're confident enough to not bother summoning it at all. They can then use that for other things.
All right, well. Here's Darius. To the top lane, stopping this tower from going down. Still 0-1 in terms of towers. Fire Dragon picked up by Suning. And guess what? Next dragon's also going to be Infernal. So if Vici wants to come back into this game, it's going to be a little bit harder than just waiting to the 40-minute mark and saying, we win now. It's going to, we have to actually be aggressive, actually try and find some advantages, because if we don't challenge the Infernal Dragon and Suning don't just gift it to us like they did in game 1, then it's going to be much harder.
And the Snowball Drake will be well and truly in effect, and the team fighting with high damage composition will be pretty insurmountable from their opponents. Starting to get those big item spikes, though, for themselves, Vici. They're waiting on 1 or 2 more items before they may start to look towards those plays. The Vladimir's good to go with the Spellbinders. Rushing that one out. The mid lane just needs that Trinity Force, and from that moment, perhaps they start to look towards a play. As you didn't see anything top lane.
I was trying my best to figure out what was going on there. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Xiao Ao is just chipping away at this tower over time. It's 1 versus 2. That's all we really need to do. And Hacker is also moving into the bottom side of the jungle, so there's plenty of pressure.
To summon his Herald sooner or later. He's running out of time for it. He already had an opportunity to use it to break mid.
Yeah, at this point, just drop it for... unless your whole team's going to arrive, you can maybe
they want
find
2
a double
turrets.
tower. Yeah.
Darius also walking down through mid lane. Looks like it's going to be a 5-stack. And it's not going to take damage.
Yeah, took it out before Shelly got angry and charged the tower. So she's going to get another charge off on this inner one. Here we go. That's yeah, it's quite a lot of damage. And that's going to be a double.
There's no Vladimir. Go for
down.
3.
There's no Alistair either. He's looking for the Ooh, down to half already. Yeah, he's looking for the flank right here. And that's already really good if you're Suning.
Absolutely. Not just the one turret, you get the 2-for-1 in the middle lane as well, of all lanes to get it. That opens up so much of the map control. Vision placement's all going to be there. Even with Xiaoel going towards the top side of the map now, the rest of the team can group up down bottom. They can try and break that last remaining outer turret. Very clean stuff from them in the end. The end result's theirs. And Xiaoel, here we go.
All right, well, this is going to have to be clean because Rule 1 of League of Legends, don't chase the Singe. But if you can just kill him straight up, do that too. That's fine.
He's not going to die.
Chasing him down, yeah. He's actually only down to half HP, and now he's like, I can actually go in on this.
Is pretty, when he presses the ultimate, he's rather tanky of a human being, the old Singe. So they tried to go for it. I respect it. And they played it well, even getting the flash out of him. But I think in retrospect, Xiaoel will be looking at that and saying, well, I didn't actually need to flash.
Yeah, I think I could have just that 1-1v2 if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Well, we take those, and now he knows for the future. Fen pushes in the bottom lane and once again finds himself up against his Aurelia opponent. And for the first time in the series, we actually get to take a look at the gold totals. Mid lane, we've got 2,000 gold advances to Fen just alone. Bot lane, Fury is going to be picking up, and in the jungle, that is where the biggest difference really is. Oh my.
Yeah, that's absurd. So far ahead in terms of gold. And this is what you would expect. First and foremost, we mentioned this in the early stages of this game. They didn't draft winning lanes, Vici, at all. The Vladimir and the Alistar is decently strong, but the Rakan does so much work for the early game in terms of controlling the lane. And Swain can throw out all of his spells as AoE. So we mentioned that Vladimir and Swain scale up the same amount, and that's true. But one of them does significantly more AoE through his spells early. They get the push in bottom. Darius controls the mid lane, and Singed is Singed, so the top lane is theirs to control as they would like. And Hacker uses that, goes into the jungle, and pretty much wins the game.
I'm trying to figure out if FireRain is sitting on a bunch of cash right now and can actually just buy the Trinity Force, or if he's really gated at just components and the Ninja Tabis.
Awkward gate to have, but he also has 2 component items, rather the Doran's Blade and the Corrupting Potion sitting there, so 2 early game items. It's not going to do too much for your item spike timing. He has to actually wait for the completed Phage. And a lot of people will wait for the completed Trinity Force if they can prolong that time spent in lane. It just feels bad to have 3 components and not the Trinity Force.
Yeah, just unfortunate. Aldi is actually going to try this 1 versus 1, even though the 2 versus 1 didn't work out for him. And Xiaoel stops him place. He knows how this trade is going. He knows he's actually just won this. I'll see you later. Oh, I can actually go on this for one more time. You don't have a passive anymore. Oh, maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew. Goodbye.
He absolutely is. Yeah, a little bit too much there. Xiaoel's having too much fun in the top lane. We'll put it that way.
I appreciate it.
Really enjoying himself. Also, in terms of itemization from Audi, rushes the Guinzu's Rage Blade, doesn't go Titanic Hydra for extra wave clear. Traditionally, the Aatrox build is those 2 items, but you often see Titanic Hydra first, followed by the Guinzu's Rage Blade, which is when you start to split push. Audi, by rushing that, may have been surprising the amount of damage that Xiaoel took in the end. But we all know that he could have lived, so there's no point justifying it. He chose to fight him and died for it.
He did. Ultimately, no one to blame but him. But it was exciting. Obviously, when moving to the top lane, just collecting this mini wave. So Tao's still going to survive. And the biggest thing there is 4-0 and Tao Suning are still winning this.
He's also building a Morello's in the top lane, Xiaoel. Wants to prevent a lot of the healing that comes out of Audi on that Aatrox. I don't dislike it. I'll put it that way.
You can justify it by saying there's a Vlad on the enemy team.
Yeah, no, the anti-healing is a great thing to have for them, but like my first thought is, okay, he's a Singed. Is he really going to be hitting the Vladimir for anti-healing at any stage? So it's mostly just for this Aatrox. And
all right, so here you go. Aldi thinks he's going to win this trade 1v1 because of the fact he has the Guinzu's, then realizes, uh-oh, it's not working. That's it. Xiao's like, hang on, I can actually maybe win this, and then that's the perfect Dark Fight.
Yeah, nice little kill there from Audi. Still very strong mechanical player. We've been seeing a lot of positive things from him, alongside a lot of Vici, actually. The individual players from this team seem decent. It's the teamwork that seems to be lacking, and Suning Gaming have holistically pressured those individuals through strong vision control and map play, and through the draft, more importantly. Here we go again.
Xiao just running around, running interference. That's going to be a collateral damage going through as well. And Aldi, no flash, no blast cone. No life. And Suning, I feel like they may have just picked up this dragon for free. This is going to be an Infernal #2 plus an Ocean Dragon.
feel like I'm nitpicking a lot watching these games, but Audi and Blast Cones, he needs to settle down. I know a lot of people do this as well, like you just hit it because you're next to it and you could.
Was he the guy who hit that one when Swift was trying to steal the Baron last game?
I believe he was, yes. He didn't need to, but he did. That's
Yeah.
the reason I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
That's 2 times now in a single series. That could have, and it didn't, but it could have been used for an attempted steal. And if you have the flash available, there's sometimes an opportunity to steal it. Second, Infernal Drake's one of those. He's got to watch himself with those blast cones.
Oh yeah. It's fine because it didn't happen. It's not really an argument you can use in League of Legends because there's always an opportunity. Oh, Hacker, 1 versus 1. This is jungle versus top lane, however. But here's Xiao.
Hello.
So he's just going to give him a tickle and just knock him over.
Flings him over his shoulder, but he dies before he could, so he ragdolled in front of him.
Yep.
Xiao comes in, steals the kill from Hacker, who was obviously waiting for the Aatrox to be there. Nice little pickup and good control of the bottom side of the map. And they haven't chosen to go over to the Baron either. They're going to sit bottom.
Yeah, Cinch is actually hurting quite a lot now, actually. Snow is going to clear out this minion wave, and he's got Caveman here with him as well. Though the damage has already been done, for certain.
Yeah, and that'd also be the Morello's picked up. So from this point onwards, there is no real 1v1 between the Aatrox and the Singed. Singed wins, but he is fragile without that ultimate up. So there is a chance that in team fights, Vici could just take him down immediately.
Yeah, it's not a particularly long cooldown on the ultimate, though, for the old Singe. He's already down to half, so he'll have it by next interaction with anybody.
And you can treat it like a Mundo, right? Like Mundo always has the ultimate available in a fight. But
It feels like it, right?
Yeah. There's always a chance that you can pick them off beforehand, especially when you've got the Alistar and the Skarner to lock people down with strong pick. The composition does have pick. It scales with damage as well, but not in the same way as the second game. They're not going to scale into a 5v5, just pure team fight, go at someone. They want to pick people off first, or force them into a side lane, pull a juke, because I'm now just coining it for no real reason, and
that's fine.
Be an Aatrox and draw 3 people.
You know, on an unrelated note, I'm still trying to figure out if FLICKR is doing well as Aurelia, because I watched him the other day as Aurelia, and he lost level 1 against the Vladimir. I'm going to hold that thought because Yoon's actually going in on K-Ban Swift. Here comes Fury and Xiao Ao as well from the bottom side. Apprehend just straight up misses from FenFen, but they've actually found their catch of the day, and that's going to be an Alistar. Here comes Xiao Ao though, and he's just going to be running circles around anybody he finds. Snow has to flash over the wall. That's going to be a kill over to Suning, so now that opens up the Baron.
Yeah, they bring Xiao Ao to the party. He's able to secure some kills with the rest of his team. Now they run straight over to the Baron. They haven't spotted the ward that's in the back of the pit, but fortunately for Suning Gaming, they're about to see it die. So they do set themselves up to take that Baron down.
Vici on the approach, and Suning Gaming with 4 around the pit right now. 1 sitting in that pixel brush. Swift walking around completely dark right now, places that control ward over the wall, but Suning Gaming, has this been activated? Has the play been commenced? Because FenFen, he's just gone in for that Ghost right now, and here comes Audi right into the midst of the fray. Aurelia jumps in as well. That's a big Vanguard's Edge. Actually finds one. Hacker goes down for the count, and Fury looking for another one to Swift. 1-for-1 trades on the junglers, but FenFen finds another onto the Aatrox. Xiao Ao caught out, but Fire Rain finds him on the backside. A 2-for-2, but the battle continues. Fury, 1 versus 3. Can't quite get Yoon involved in this one, and he's not going to be able to trade. Vici come up big.
And I think this fight answers your question. Can Fire Rain play Aurelia comprehensively? Yes, after that team fight. He just slaughtered his opponents in Suning Gaming. They just looked all kinds of disconnected, unfortunately. The composition isn't that cohesive. It doesn't make all that much sense in a front-to-back 5v5. And they're made the fool, unfortunately, by Vici Gaming, who once again in this set beat them in the team fight.
They do indeed, and once again, it's also around the time where Baron is a thing as well. Mid-tower falling, first one of the game for Vici, but the first step on a long road that they need to the trek.
And you can see Suning Gaming's obsession here with turning. They really want to turn and team fight. Eventually, Baron hits 3k health. I'm like, well, we have no choice now. The risk is there, but all of the people that get stunned, followed by Fire Rain with the ultimate, able to make sure that Graves can't do anything. And Graves is a lot of the gold lead of this team. So from that point onwards, Suning Gaming, they lost health to the Baron. And the follow-up is there. They get themselves the team fight and the kills.
I will say, though, that FenFen, I'm not sure if he's hit an Apprehend in the last 15 minutes. Every single time he goes for them, completely whiffs it. And it's not a dodge, it's him literally just whiffing it.
It's one of those things where FenFen may have practiced the Darius, but it doesn't mean he is a Darius player. The range is a bit awkward, actually, with that Apprehend.
It is, yeah.
Of course, he's still 4-1-3 with a stopwatch. They're still ahead in gold with the potential to win this game very easily through the next team fight, but they just lost another one. The signs are still there. The risk is still prevalent. Vici Gaming can try and take that 5v5.
Yeah, Apprehended as an ability is actually a bit of an awkward range. It's around standard auto-attack range, around 550. You can't actually outrange it with something like a Twin Fang, for example. Don't ask why I know that information, but Fen should be able to capture any AD carry that's walking towards him, and in a Bruiser meta, should theoretically just be able to outrange everybody apart from the Vladimir. So, in theory, it should be better for the Darius, but it's not shown to be so far in this game. But Darius in the team fight is just him getting 5 stacks anyway, so.
When the Darius is on your team, he misses everything. When the Darius is on the enemy team, I swear it gets an extra 100 range on the Apprehended.
Yeah, every time. And pulls you out of everything. That thing has some weird priority as well.
Quite a silly spell, I must admit.
We were talking about priority earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah, with the old JC.
Well, JC has priority over everything, including Cassid and all, which makes no sense.
Edge or E, cast and all.
Yeah.
It starts off again by Suning. Here comes Swift. This time he's coming in from the front door, though Yoon is completely separated from this team, and Swift, thinking about it, doesn't have his flash though.
Yeah, Yoon very mobile, difficult to lock down, though he doesn't have the flash. And SNG Gaming still a little bit afraid of committing to the Baron being taken. They've got wards there that haven't been cleared. They aren't controlling the vision outright. And through that vision control, Swift is able to walk in, command the area, and force them back. And you can take this Drake for sure if you're SNG Gaming and be happy with it. But we've seen this from them a million times over. If they can't secure that Baron, then how are they actually going to end this game?
Great question, Rusty. I don't have a good answer for you because when you're running a bunch of bruisers and no real AD carry, then it becomes very difficult to end the game without Baron buff.
I mean, to me, it's just so simple for them right now. You get this Drake, you recall if you have items that you need to purchase, and then you control mid lane. The fact that you've got 2 turrets down in that middle lane means that you can push it deep, you can control it with vision as well, get into the blue side jungle of Vici Gaming, and look at the wards that they have littered through that area. There is an abundance of vision there for them. Start to clear it away, make them feel less comfortable to go into their own jungle, not let them freely walk into the river like they are currently.
And SNG Gaming just constantly accruing these dragons. That's going to be something that will bite Vici in the behind as this game continues. This is going to be a 5th dragon also spawning this game, which will be another ocean. So of course Elder going to be hitting a little bit harder.
That is an AP Rakan too, if ever I have seen one.
That is the most watered down, blandest AP Rakan though. Like
Well, yeah, it's
you've
not
got
the mid
2
lane
items that
proto
kind
build
of give AP. Yeah, that's what I think of when you say AP. Like you can say that about so many bot lanes. It's like, hey, that's an AP army right there. It's like, what is it? She's got like 2. She's got a Frost Queens.
It's not a Righteous Glory, man. It's a Shirelia's. So it's AP, right?
Yeah, I see
And
it.
his other item is AP.
Yeah, I see it.
So it's an AP Rakan.
Yeah.
Until he builds something else.
You got very loose definitions there, Mr. Rusty.
I'm a support mate. I have to take every single item that I can get that's
Mate,
AP.
when I play support, I play Blitzcrank and I go full AP, and that means a death cap. That's what I'm talking about when you go full AP.
That's not an AP support. That is a cheese. It usually loses.
You're right, but it was goddamn fun. SNG Gaming going to be starting off this Baron right here once again for the 3rd time in a row. Feels like Groundhog Day, but this time they're engaging on Vici and they found Swift. He's the one thrown into the team, and a nice stunt coming out there from Yoon. Actually pulling in Chow Al. Look at him go at the speed of light running around the fight. And Caveman will fall immediately off the back of that play. Fire Rain jumps into the fray once more, but he's promptly put down. And the final member remaining on the team is going to be Snow. Fen just style flashed into the wall, and SNG Gaming look for the win.
They get themselves the clean ace this time around. All 5 members alive, pushing towards the enemy base. You would expect full well that just the inhibitor at the bare minimum starts to go down. They didn't get the Baron, so it doesn't help with their closing out of this game. But they've got the teleport there from Fury. They start to push aggressively. 5 seconds on the closest member.
5 seconds on Swift, 5 seconds on Caveman, and here comes the teleport. Big minion wave as well. And this is a team who was shred towers. Look at how fast that tower's dying, Rusty. Both down at the same time. 2 versus 5. Just focus the Nexus. SNG Gaming, 30 minutes, a 5-0. Finish this one off, take it 2-1, and take up Vici.
They do their calculations, make the plays, and they'll get themselves the victory here, SNG Gaming. After a nice little team fight, which once again was a Baron bait, but this time they execute cleanly. Showell was very unstoppable, even getting entry into the backline, just doing circles on the heads of these opponents. He cannot be kept down.
No one's going to keep him down, Rusty. Absolutely no one, and not Vici, that's for certain. I've seen some good things from Vici today. Honestly, part of me actually thought they were going to take that third game for a long while. But SNG Gaming in the end were able to finish off and actually came over some of their demons. That was, we don't know how to play the game after 30 minutes. This time they actually just finished it before that was even a problem. And that is what will make them quite the force in the early weeks of the LPL.
And welcome to the beauty of patch 8.11. You don't have to play late game compositions. Even if your struggles are in the late game, the average game time of the LPL is 31 minutes. So you'll be able to get there with mid-game items and comps.
Yep, late game, what late game?
You'll be able to get those victories as a result of that. SNG Gaming, the best example of it. Seen in the first and the third games. Early control of the jungle. The snowball is there. Very easily executed in the end. A couple of hiccups still, however. And we do have to explore those further because they've got some hiccups to get rid of. Particularly with their team fighting. SNG Gaming.
Oh yeah, I mean generally they win the team fight, but just having the brute force approach, we're so far ahead in terms of golden items and power spikes that we could just make it happen. But it is definitely not a hand coming together and a single punch. It is definitely a bunch of fingers trying to poke your eyes out. And hey, more often than not, it blinds you and it kills you. So good job, SNG, but it's not going to work every single time against some of the more polished team fighting teams in the league.
Yeah.
And there are many of them.
That's the concern, right? Vici have shown very good team fighting. They actually kept up with Billy, in particular, known as a team fighting team, and they did match the 5v5. So I don't want to discredit Vici's ability to team fight right now. But I will say that SNG Gaming will play against teams that are much better at team fighting than Vici just were. And it looks like that's a cause for concern, an even bigger one when they get those better teams there.
Yeah, I do want to talk for Vici for a second, or about Vici for a second, because we've seen them twice this week and they lost both series, but both of them went 2-3 games. And that's actually, I don't know what the record is actually off the top of my head from last split, but may already be better. I mean, Vici actually taking games in the first place is a good thing for the team.
True. Oh,
yeah,
no.
And as soon as I thought about it, I was like, oh no. But Vici, this new squad actually looks pretty good. I could see them taking multiple games at this split. I'm not just talking about games, but actual series against some of these squads. You know, they were talking about not being the 14th team in the league, trying to overtake and become 13th, 12th, even better. And hey, it's the first step to becoming greatness, right? Yeah. And actually, I can see Vici doing that from what we've seen in the first couple games.
Yeah, I absolutely want to give credit to Vici. I think they have a lot of potential. I'm sorry, Raz is dancing behind you. It is so distracting. I can't actually listen to what you're saying at the same time. But go Vici.
Indeed. And go Analyst Desk. I'm going to send it over to you guys, and I'm going to watch Raz dance.
Oh.
Can confirm Raz is actually dancing over to the side of us, but we're going to ignore it and claim it. We're gonna focus in on that great SNG performance. I actually don't know what's more entertaining, watching Raz dance.
I wish I didn't see it.
Or watching a SNG
watching him
thumbs
twerk
up
is like
someone.
watching someone light up matches. It's weird.
That was cruel. Back to SNG.
All right, okay, back to SNG. So I think this story was really about the tale of two different tower dives. We saw the massive tower dive fail in the bot lane and in the top lane for Vici, both for Vici. And that pretty much ended the early game. I will also say their draft was pretty horrible coming into the second rotation. They banned 2 top laners, and then the enemy took Darius and SNG. So they effectively didn't do anything.
Yeah, I heard you when we were watching this draft phase, you're like, SNG are betting Vici that they don't have another type of style or a composition by taking the Darius away, and you were right, because they went immediately back to what happened in game number 1, which is grabbing the Aatrox. So it seems like Vici, while they are finding more success, as Rusty and Pulse were alluding to, it's only through one style, which is having that split pusher.
So in this ban pick, I think there's 2 things you take away. Number 1, I don't think Aurelia is auto blind pickable first pick, because you do have to see a lot of counters. Like Xiao's running the game plank. We see the Darius by FLICKR as well. And the second thing here is that Cinderhulk junglers really don't work in this meta, and we've seen this repeatedly. Whoever bans out the entire roster and says, here, play a Cinderhulk jungler, the other team just actually loses.
And the thing is the Cinderhulk jungler lost with the 2v2 in the top side, because there were, I think, 5 or 6 different ganks on SNG in the top lane, and none of them went anywhere. And you talked about, you know, that initial tower dive not being great, Skarner not connecting with the E, and it snowballed from there that we had an AP SNG at one point in this game.
Oh yeah, we definitely did, and hopefully we can take a clip of that, because that was really just inches away. That was very close. It could have worked, but the Flash E failed on a Swift side, And of course, that really did snowball the top lane. Aatrox, a champion that needs to win lane to actually do anything. And when that doesn't happen, the whole game plan just fizzles.
Yeah, and then from there, it turned into a Baron fight. And the thing was, if you look at that composition, the fact that they have, things like the Singe, had the Reverie, had the Rakan, it took Suning 4 attempts at that Baron. I'm like, this comp, what it does really well is it turns off Baron well, but they kept splitting that and throwing these fights to Vici.
Yeah, so they actually went 2 ways a lot of the times, and what they should have done was either back out 1 or just go directly. You have to recon and try to initiate. And I actually felt the last team fight, it was also kind of Vici's fault as well, because they had the Alistar and Aurelia to cut off the choke, but they actually didn't manage to do so. They kind of hesitated, gave Suning 2 seconds to actually walk up the choke and finish them all off.
So I'm going to echo what Pulse was saying, and there were some strong words that were thrown around. Okay, good, possible greatness for
Those are not strong words.
This Vici squad. For Vici, these are really strong words.
Okay.
So my question is, did we actually see improvement from Vici, or was that simply Suning really underperforming?
I think we did in terms of team fights, because Vici actually didn't just try for team fights. They didn't actually do anything past the 20-minute mark. And the main thing that I want to see improved is the synergy between Swift and Audi. They've clearly decided to go down this path, and they need to stick to it. I believe Audi is a guy that can grow up. We've seen him do very well on the Korean ladder, but of course it's going to take time, and there is a language barrier between Swift and him as well.
Fun fact, though, Swift actually speaks the best Mandarin of any of our
All right, I'm running out of excuses.
I saw you trying to take it. I was like, actually, I got to pull the rug right out from underneath it. Spoiler, Swift speaks Mandarin very well. Here we go.
All right, so the first try here, and you can see the HP bar just a little bit off. It was an E flash from Swift being used right there, but unfortunately he didn't really pull it off correctly. The E still stayed on the same trajectory as when he was starting his flash, so that was a bit of a failed execution on that part, and just snowballed into this.
That's literally how I feel right now after trying to call for this for the last 2 minutes, and it comes up now.
Yeah.
But we got there in the end. The story of this game was they tried to gank this Singed 6 times. I think that they were severely tilted. It bit them in the ass almost every single time.
Yep.
Because even when they do manage to kill the Singe, look at what's happening on the rest of the map.
Everything's burning down. Their mid lane's getting taken away.
They're like, oh, this bot lane tower, this is ours for free.
And the Cinch doesn't even die half the time. Like, Xiaoao actually, I feel like he dragged the game on. And this is the problem with the Suning. When they're winning big, they don't finish. They actually just let the game state be. They're like, oh, I'm happy staying in this place. This feels fun.
Is that an ego? Because that was definitely an ego. He looked at Aatrox, he made eye contact with him, he's like, I could screw this guy.
They're Suning are like, they're like a bunch of good players, but without a killer instinct. They're like a bunch of LeBrons, but they need a couple Kobe's in them. It's balance them out.
I don't know if I would ever say that Suning have a bunch of LeBrons on the
never
team.
Never mind.
I think
LeBron's
that's
actually good now.
shooting a little bit too high, but that's fun. I understand where we're coming from. That said, we do have one more series for the rest of this night. Now, I do want to make a note that normally when we have our away arenas, they usually start as a designated time for the local audience. So Snake versus FPX was actually supposed to start an hour ago, but due to a technical difficulty, which they've decided to resolve, I believe, the game will be starting at 8. So good news for us is that means we have no delay. Normally we do run these games on a delay so you can catch all of the action of the first series as well as the second series, but we will be going live into our Chongqing arena for Snake versus FPX right on the other side of this break. Eventually.
Please.